On a bright, dry afternoon in the outskirts of Redwater Valley, a place where the sun always seemed too bright and the wind carried the whispers of forgotten roads, a lone biker named Corven Maddox rode his matte black Hell Angeles motorcycle across a stretch of broken earth that barely counted as a trail. Corven wasn't riding for thrill or escape that day, he was riding because something inside him had been restless for weeks, like a compass pointing him to a place he didn't yet understand. The engine's rumble echoed against the hills, scattering a flock of birds into the wide blue sky. But beneath that endless daylight, something darker awaited him, something that would pull him into one of the most unexpected, heart-shifting moments of his life. If you believe in second chances, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindora Life. Your support truly keeps these stories alive for everyone. Corven Maddox wasn't the kind of man people expected to carry emotional weight, but he did. A lot of it. Beneath the heavy leather vest marked with the Hell Angeles emblem, beneath the tattoos climbing up his arms, beneath the tough expression that never quite softened, he carried a quiet heaviness he never admitted to anyone. 2 years earlier, he had lost his younger brother in an accident on a back road just like this one. Ever since, Corven had been following lonely highways and forgotten paths, as if searching for a sign that the world still held something good, something redeeming. He wasn't expecting a sign that day. He wasn't expecting anything at all. Yet the universe tends to nudge people at the exact moment they stop anticipating miracles. As Corven rode along a narrow dirt line carved through the valley, his eyes followed something unusual etched into the ground. Old rail tracks, rusted, crooked, half buried beneath sand and dry weeds, stretched forward like a scar across the landscape. They didn't belong there anymore. The Redwater Railway had been shut down decades ago. Most tracks had been pulled out, sold, or dismantled. But these remained, stubborn and forgotten, leading toward a hill that locals never bothered with. Instinct tugged at Corven's chest. He slowed his bike to a crawl, boots scraping the dusty ground as he came to a stop where the tracks vanished beneath a collapsed section of rock and dirt. The bright afternoon sun revealed something strange, a faint path beside the tracks, as if someone, or something, had been making frequent trips. Corven's pulse tightened. Nature didn't leave a path like that. People did. He switched off his motorcycle and the sudden silence rang louder than the engine had. The wind rustled the brittle bushes, throwing shadows across the earth. Corven stepped over the broken rocks and followed the tracks by foot, each step revealing more disturbance in the dust. The ground bore signs of recent movement, dragged marks, footprints mostly erased by wind, and faint impressions showing someone had passed through. His boots carried him toward a half-buried metal door at the base of the hill. It was old, industrial steel with peeling paint, the kind used in maintenance tunnels that once ran beneath the railway line. The door shouldn't have been accessible anymore, yet someone had cleared enough rubble to make space for it. A heavy lock clung to the latch, wrapped in chains that looked newer than the rest of the structure. Corven felt something shift inside him. This wasn't normal. Something about the air felt different too, not dangerous but heavy with the weight of a secret. Ignoring the unease wrapping around his ribs, he grabbed a thick stone from the ground. After a few strong hits, the lock gave way, clattering against the ground in a metallic cry. Corven pushed the door open, and a gust of stale air rushed out. The bright daylight behind him spilled into the darkness, revealing a sloping corridor of concrete walls smeared with dust. As he stepped inside, the temperature dropped. The light illuminated torn pieces of fabric and plastic, scattered tools, and empty water containers. Corven's breath tightened as he moved deeper into the tunnel. Something was wrong here. Someone had been staying underground, hidden, isolated, unseen. The tunnel curved left, and that's when he heard it. A small, faint sound. Not mechanical. Not an animal struggling. It was a human sound, soft, trembling, and unbearably fragile. A sob. Corven froze, every nerve in his body alert. The sound came again, echoing across the concrete walls. A whimper. Someone was crying. Someone who didn't want to be heard, but couldn't hold the pain in any longer. He stepped forward, slow and cautious, letting the daylight follow behind him. As he reached the end of the tunnel, the source of the sound became clear. In a small chamber carved deeper into the hillside, a young woman sat curled in the corner, arms wrapped around her knees. Her clothes were torn, faded, and coated in dust. Her hair, long, dark, and messy from neglect, hung over her face as she trembled. She looked weak, dehydrated, exhausted to her core. And yet, when the daylight hit her, her eyes lifted toward him with a mixture of fear and disbelief so strong it nearly stopped Corven's breath. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just stared, stiff and silent, as if she wasn't sure he was real. Corven raised his hand slightly to show he meant no harm. He wasn't good with comforting words, not since his brother died, but something inside him broke watching her tremble in the glare of daylight she probably hadn't seen in a long time. Her name, he later learned, was Arya Solberg. She had been missing for almost 6 weeks. She had been trying to hide, from who, from what, she couldn't say right away. Trauma had stolen her voice, leaving fragments she couldn't string together yet. He offered her water. She hesitated at first, but desperation eventually overpowered fear. She drank slowly, hands shaking, each swallow seeming to pull her back toward life. Corven waited. He didn't rush her. He didn't ask questions yet. He let her breathe and simply witnessed the quiet, painful way she reacquainted herself with hope. When she tried to stand, her legs gave out. Corven caught her before she hit the ground, surprised by how light she felt, like a shadow that hadn't been allowed to touch sunlight in too long. She apologized in a small, hoarse voice, her first real words, and something inside Corven softened in a way he hadn't felt in years. He lifted her carefully and carried her through the tunnel, letting the warm daylight spill onto her face. She blinked at the brightness, and tears slipped down her cheeks, not from pain but from relief so deep it made Corven swallow